You're watching Leadership TV News. I am Cynthia Onwado. Here are the news headlines. Tinubu names Bernard Doro for appointment as minister. Court shifts Senator Natasha's cybercrime trial to November 24th. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Rivers State of emergency case. Nigerian woman faces life sentence for leaving daughter to suffocate to death in Texas. And the Senate confirms Yusuf as new NPC chairman, two others as senators, or rather as commissioners. Thanks for joining us. Here is the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu has forwarded a letter to the Senate seeking the confirmation of Dr. Bernard Mohammed. Dr. Doro's nomination follows the emergence of Professor Nantawe Goshwe Yiwatda as the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC. Yiwatda from Plateau State previously served as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction before his emergence as APC National Chairman in July. Born on January 23rd, 1969 in Kwao, Bassa local government area of Plateau State, Dr. Doro has over 20 years of multidisciplinary experience in clinical practice, pharmaceutical management, strategic leadership, and community engagement. His degrees in pharmacy and law, an MBA focusing on ITs in advanced clinical practice. He's an independent prescriber and advanced clinical practitioner with NHS frontline experience across urgent care, working centers, GP practices, and hospital settings. It is gathered that he has also led youth mentorship and social impact initiatives in the diaspora and local communities. Moving on now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned the trial of Kogi North Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan over alleged cybercrime to November 24th. Justice Muhammad Umar, who fixed Monday for the beginning of trial, was reportedly absent in court due to the protest organized by Mr. Omoyele Showere to demand the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. Justice Umar's court was said to be under lock and key on Monday as court activities were crippled. The matter was, however, fixed for November 24th when activities at the court resumed on Tuesday. The judge had on September 22nd fixed today, October 21st, for the hearing after the trial was stalled owing to an objection raised by the defendant. Recall that Natasha was arraigned on June 30 on a 6-count charge filed by the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, Mohammed Abubakar. She was granted bail following which Justice Umar adjourned till September 22nd for the commencement of trial. However, on the last adjourned date when the prosecution lawyer, David Kaswe, was about to open his case by calling the first witness, the defense lawyer raised an objection. A development was after a television screen had been mounted in the courtroom preparatory to the commencement of proceedings. The defense lawyer, Ehioje West Idahosa SAN, had expressed concern about the possibility of the prosecution opening its case. West Idahosa told the court that a notice of preliminary objection to challenge the court's jurisdiction to hear the case had already been filed. He said the objection is not to the nature of the charge, but the alleged abuse of the prosecutionary powers of the Attorney General of the Federation AGF. The lawyer also complained about not being served with copies of the statements of the prosecution witnesses. Although Kaswe argued that the objection filed by the defendants should not be allowed to stall the court's business for the day, Justice Umar insisted that the prosecution must respond to the objection. And now to other news stories. Over a month after the expiration of emergency rule of the democratically elected governor of the state, Siminalayi Fubara, the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in a suit challenging the declaration of a state of emergency in the state. The plaintiff in the suit are the Attorney General of 10 states, while the defendants in the suit are the federal government and the National Assembly. During the proceedings, the fifth plaintiff, Delta State, withdrew from the suit, which was not opposed by the counsel for the federal government, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. Eyitayo Jegede, SAN, who is representing the plaintiffs while adopting his brief of argument, noted that their case was not a denial of the president's power to proclaim a state of emergency, but to challenge the extent to which the proclamations of the governor, deputy governor, and the State House of Assembly. Fagbemi, in his argument for the federal government and in response to the court's question that if there was a threat to the process of the proclamation, stated that that there was none and that the plaintiffs have not been able to prove any. He also noted that Rivers State has engulfed in crisis involving the governor and the executives, prompting the president's action. The senior lawyer also submitted that the governor, his deputy, and the State House of Assembly were not removed but suspended as part of extraordinary measures required to bring decorum to the state. Finally, he stated that the president had no choice but a duty to act the way he acted in declaring a state of emergency. He therefore urged the Apex Court to dismiss the suit in its entirety. After listening to the parties in the suit, the Apex Court reserved judgment until date to be communicated to all parties in the suit. And now, an economist, Paul Alaje, has said that Nigeria's failure to manage its fast-growing population could worsen poverty and inequality. Alaje issued the warning on Tuesday when he featured in an interview program on Arise television. The chief economist asked SPM professionals said the World Bank's projection that Nigeria's population will exceed 320 million by 2050 may become reality, adding that we need to do a lot of work to prepare for it. Population is neither a curse nor a blessing. It depends on what you do with it. We cannot discuss population without discussing available resources and productivity. The three of them must be discussed together, he said. He therefore called on the government to draw lessons from China by linking population growth with industrialization, urging that Nigeria pursue both population control and productivity growth. Alaje lamented that although Nigeria is generating employment across sectors, the real economic benefits are flowing abroad. A 36-year-old Nigerian immigrant, Gbemisola Akayinode, has been charged with felony murder in Texas, USA, after allegedly leaving her 9-year-old daughter, Oluwasikemi, to die from extreme heat inside a parked car while she was at work. According to court documents, a tragic incident occurred on July 1st, 2025, when Akayinode drove to her job at the USG Corporation mineral plant in Galena Park, a suburb of Houston, leaving her daughter inside the vehicle for more than 8 hours. That day, outdoor temperatures reached 35 degrees Celsius, and by the time the first responders arrived, Oluwasikemi's body temperature has risen to 108 degrees Fahrenheit. The Harris County Medical Examiner's Office later ruled her that a homicide caused by hypothermia. And now investigators revealed that a daughter alone in the car on at least night before the tragedy, with water, melatonin, and a small fan.